Morning, everyone. So, the task which has been given to me is to set the context of today's session. We will be talking a lot about technology, and my role is to share with all of you what is our expectation from the technology. So, first expectation is it should work. So, basically, the way this particular pre-lunch session is organized, so I will be setting up tone and asking questions from our fellow colleague who is going to demonstrate on audit tool. So there are a lot of expectations. So when we apply audit software during our audits, how it should function and what are the key challenges and what are the key expectations from the audit partners and audit team and audit firms, and what are the challenges which we feel will be there. So how do we address those issues? So so this will be a very small session. I have only 8 or 9 slides. I can speak from those slides if it doesn't work. Then after he has demonstrated the tool, Mr. Yogesh will discuss about the advantages and a little bit of literature. We know you're all experts in the field, and we do not need to demonstrate and discuss with you the auditing standards 200, 230 and all. You know that audit documentation is required. All of you are reading NAFRA orders nowadays, and they are very categorically telling you what all was not done or is supposed to be done. There's a lot of debate happening, there's a lot of discussion happening. So this is very important time. We are all going through a transition. Traditional ways of doing audits, they are now undergoing a change. Everything which you do need to be there, demonstrated in your file that you have actually done that. So when I was doing articleship many years ago, the partner under whom I was doing the articleship, he said that I need to get a comfort whether this balance sheet and P&L is giving true and fair picture or not. Only if I am comfortable, then I will sign on the financial statements and the audit report. Now that situation has totally changed. It is not that the person who is signing needs to get comfortable. It's the person who is reviewing his work paper need to be comfortable. So if you say that I have done the complete audit, I did planning, I did execution, and I made report according to me, what is right, that is not sufficient. I think the definition of audit is also undergoing a change. Audit is not getting, carrying out procedures and getting a comfort that everything is in order. Definition of audit, I think, is to collect evidence of whatever you have done and keep that in your file. So there will be physical files, there had been physical files, and we were struggling how to keep those files for 1 quarter. If you are doing a large audit, if you are doing a large public listed company audit, you need to maintain those work papers. And in 1 quarter, let us say there are 8 or 10 box files, in 4 quarters so many files, and then annual audit, and then you have more than 1 audits, right? So how do you keep those box files, and for how long? There can be questions which will be asked from any regulator. So there is a need of change. There is a need that our community, our fraternity also change according to the time. We should apply and embrace the technology, and we should look into the areas how we can protect and we can preserve those files which are there in soft form. Not only that, the people who are working with us, they need to be aware what is supposed to be done when we are doing the audit. So when they start doing the audit, they need to apply the auditing standards, they need to have the guidance, there are checklists, they need to fill up those checklists, and a lot of things are supposed to be done. it is expected that the software or the audit software will give that kind of support as well. So, the main question is whether we as auditors need to change. This is not the question, whether we need to change our style of auditing. The question is when and how fast we need to change. It is expected that in some time you will find a diktat that every time you are doing audit, your audit work papers need to be uploaded immediately, there and then, and the regulators sitting anywhere can look at your work papers from whichever position they are in. So this is not a very far away. This is going to happen very soon, and I think better that we understand this at the earliest. So I was talking to my friends in the morning. So there are some colleagues in the audience with whom I used to go to library to do my CA. There are people, Sandeep is there, I used to travel by train and try to understand कि भैया CA की exam कैसे pass करने हैं. But I think nowadays it's a whole new field for all of us. When we have done audit, we have done the sampling, the people who will come and ask us, how did you pick up those samples? What is your methodology? How many samples you have picked up? So I'll be sharing some examples with you, live examples, experience coming out of experiences. So we got an audit, and I'll later tell you which company, which kind of company was it. And I asked my team that how many samples you will pick up. They said, sir, as per our audit manual, we need to pick up 250 samples for each item. But I think in this particular case, we will pick up slightly more samples. And then we realized that this company is a gateway of payment which is being done online. And in one day, there are millions of transactions happening. So whether you pick up 250 samples or you pick up 2,000 samples or you pick up 2 lakh samples, they are absolutely a small number. So you have to rely on the controls. You have to do in-depth checking of the controls which are there, whether it is online or offline. So this is something which is required. When I was having a discussion with my fellow colleagues, so they said, what is the key expectation from the technology? So I was smiling and I was saying that, okay, if NAFRA accepts your work papers in this software, you are good. If your regulators are accepting this tool and accepting the way we are doing work, then it is fine. But if they are able to find out that somebody can make changes in this software later on, then you are gone. I mean, then there is no point in using the software for this. So we are going through an interesting time. Not only the NAFRA, but our institute disciplinary committee and other regulators are also looking at the way we create our audit documentation. An interesting debate is happening, and I'm sure if I pick up that point, half of you, there will be a split. There's a discussion happening that whether an auditor should sign on the balance sheet or not. So why this debate has started happening is because many times you see that if something goes wrong in the financial statements, whether it is police authorities or whether it is tax authorities or any other authority, they look at the financial statements, businessman is gone, and they'll find that there is a CA who has signed on it, and they will call him. So that is the reason they said that, okay, nowhere in the world it is required that the auditor should sign on the financial statement. Financial statements are ownership is with the management. Financial statements are made by the management. So why an auditor should sign? Now, why there is a split? People say that if I am doing the audit, I put my stamp and signature on those financial statements so that nobody can change those statements later on. So, बॉस अगर नहीं हो रहा है ना, आप रहने दो. मुझे लग रहा है कि मैं आपके साथ बात कर रहा हूँ. आप प्लीज. So, there's a debate happening, and we are discussing whether the financial statements should be signed by the auditors. हमारा ownership is on the audit report, and that audit report we should sign. Many jurisdictions it is happening like that only, and we are debating whether we should sign on the balance sheet or not. So our regulators, the bankers, the income tax, the police officer, all these people, they are looking at auditors because it's a community which is easily accessible. So they call you and they start asking questions from you. One of my friend, he came to my office, he said, yaar, badi gadbad ho gayi hai. I said, what happened? He said, I received a call from Enforcement Directorate, ED office se call aa gaya. I said, what happened? He said कि उन्होंने बोला है कि सुबह मेरे पास हमारे पास 10 बजे आ जाओ. अब मैं तो कोई ऐसा ऑडिट करता नहीं हूँ, कोई ऐसी कंपनी नहीं है. I said, but still you need to go because they have called you. So he went there, and this ED officer told him that when this person had gone to the bank manager asked him to do a witness of a new bank account opening. And the person who opened that new account had done some transactions which were under, the scrutiny of ED. So they said that since you had given a witness, so we have called you because you are a chartered accountant, so we know that you are available. So tell us, where is this person? He said, I don't know. Only the manager told me to give a witness. I gave a witness. He said, we are giving you 1 week time. Either bring this person in or we will catch hold of you. So then this person called me that, मैं क्या करूँ, कहाँ से लाऊँ अब मैं? So I said, you first write a letter to the bank. Tell them that since you insisted I gave the witness, I withdraw that. And then you physically go to the address, take a picture, and so that you demonstrate that you have done your work. So then you go to the ED officer and say that this is the letter which I had given to the bank. I don't know this person. This is an affidavit. I don't know this person. This is the evidence because you asked me to go there. I went there. And I clicked photographs. There was no such company which was existing. I was never involved in the incorporation of that company. I never did audit, never tax. कुछ नहीं किया है मैंने. And then they said, okay, you go today, and in case required, we'll call you again. In last 1 minute I had explained, but you can imagine what might have happened to this young boy for those 7 days. Initial 3 days he did not even eat. There was so much of fear. He has done nothing wrong, but he didn't know what to do. Unfortunately, our lobby of chartered accountant is not that strong, and he felt that nobody will be there to protect him in case something goes wrong.
So was he right when the bank manager told him to sign whatever he signed it?
That might be wrong. He might have trusted the bank manager. But ultimately what I am trying to convey to you is that the kind of situation in the society, wherever they see a person who is a chartered accountant, they call him. That's the point which I am trying to convey. Whether it is ED or police officer, SHO, or SFIO, everywhere you will feel that they find that you can call in chartered accountant. So whatever audits you have done, if you are able to demonstrate that your work papers are in order, then at least you will be having a case. So this applying technology, how this is going to help you in carrying out your audits. When we talk about audit documentation, we need to ensure that our file contains different portions, which includes pre-planning, planning, execution, reporting, and compliance with all the regulations, including auditing standards. Our file should be able to demonstrate that. So when we apply technology, it is expected that, if I'm sending 5 people to do the audit manually, with the technology I will need to send only 1 or 2 people, right? This technology should save my time. Whatever work is being done, it is done according to the regulations. And the people who are going to use this technology, whether they are fresh qualified chartered accountants or article trainees or executives, even for that matter, new executive partners, there should not be anything which is left out. They should be having a comprehensive guidance from that software, which is, so that they can navigate, and it should not be very difficult coding language. Once they have done it, then the audit is complete, so your documentation need to be preserved. Integrity of the documentation should not be compromised. That's what we expect from when we apply the software. Our confidentiality. Those people who deal with US companies, they know how difficult it is and how important it is to maintain the confidentiality of the documentation which you have received from the client. Even your audit work papers. In some of the jurisdictions, auditors are not allowed to share their audit work papers. Even in our code of ethics, it is important for us we can show it to other party, but we are not supposed to share it because the confidentiality is involved. And your data is preserved in such a manner. And then the need is that whenever you need that data, you should be able to retrieve it. So suppose you apply one audit software today, and after 2 years you see that probably it's not doing well, you shift to a new audit software, or there's a new technology comes in, you move to the other one. But what audit you did 6 years ago, that data should be there, retrievable. So this is what is expected from the technology. It should save time, it should maintain the integrity of your data, and it should be retrievable. But what are the base level expectations? So once our technology people will start giving demonstration of audit software, what are the expectations? In bullet points, I'll just share it with you. And probably they can take note that if my team is going to do the audit, the software should be user friendly. It should give information, and it should be easy for an article trainee to use. Then it should give them a confidence, the firm a confidence that this software, whatever directions are given, they should comply with the auditing standards. There should be inbuilt control. For example, maker checker. If somebody has done some work, suppose the client has given bank reconciliation statements to the article trainee, and the trainee has done some procedures on that statement. They checked whether the balance mentioned therein is tallying with the bank statement and the books. Whatever work they have done, so they will write it, but there is a manager who is going to check the work. So there has to be a maker checker concept. The methodology, how the samples are being picked up, whether the auditors, this audit software is having analytical tool in between, built in between, or the firm will need to have another software for doing the analytics. That's a very important question. There are different kind of softwares which are there in the market. If you use some softwares like Caseware, they are just documentation software. Whatever you are doing, you are just parking it there. It's like a table drawer. You are parking your documentations in different drawers. But work which you are doing for doing analytics and other work, you are using a separate software. Which samples you have picked up? Because if you look at NAFRA's order, they said that how the firm could not demonstrate how they have picked up the sample. So whatever your sampling methodology need to be defined, inbuilt, so that you are able to demonstrate that this is how you have used random table or you have used which methodology to do the samples. Now the institute has published a book on checklists on auditing standards. Whether the software is having that checklist as well, because this is the work which is supposed to be done. What are the possibility that some of the auditing standards might have got mixed? There's a lot of discussion around SA 600, ISA 600. Institute is having one stance, NAFRA is having another view. So whether the audit software will give us answer to those questions, or whether it is made according to Indian standard SA 600, or it is also having a flexibility to move to ISA 600 if required. What kind of reports are required to be generated? Generally we see that many people, they look at the reports which are published initially, Reliance and Infosys and Tata's, and they take guidance from those published reports. But your software should also tell you that what is the kind of report you are going to bring in. Whether it is a key audit matter, whether it is a matter which requires emphasis of matter paragraph, whether this is a modification matter, or whether it is a matter which is supposed to be reported to the audit committee only, or it is not even required there. So what kind of reporting? So whether the software will have inbuilt those reporting, and most importantly the risk assessment. With experience, I am very sure that if you are going to do an audit, if a client approaches you, within 15 minutes or half an hour of discussion, you are able to identify कि इनका risk area कहाँ पर है. So if this is a NBFC, or if this is a company dealing with defense, or company dealing with different kind of manufacturing, you exactly know where are the risk areas and where the audits are going to be focused, where audit procedures are more. But whether the software will throw those, and if you identify that, okay, in my opinion, in my view, revenue is a area which requires more attention, and I identify it as a fraud risk, whether it will throw up the additional procedures or not. Regulations are changing every week. I have friends who deal with GST. I don't even go near to GST. There are changes which are happening like mad. Every week, every second, I think more than once, right? Every week there are changes happening. And those changes are fundamental changes also. So how the software will help the audit team to see whether the GST has been properly complied with, income tax regulations, regulatory requirements. I was making a presentation on Indian requirements of regulatory if a new company comes and set up in India manufacturing unit. So we realized that in that particular state where we were discussing, 162 acts were applicable, different kind of acts. So whether the software is going to help us, or we need to have a separate mechanism to ensure that there are regulatory requirements are being met. And then most importantly, the cost factor. You are doing an audit or you are doing a tax audit. What is the fees of license of this software, and how it is going to help you? What will be the cost, and whether you will be in a position to charge from your client the fees for the license also. Some of the softwares are very, very costly. For each license they need to shell out, and they many times we discuss and we say that we are small and medium practitioners in India. We cannot charge this much audit fees which you are asking for one license. So this is also one of the factor which needs to be understood. Some traditional chartered accountants like me and like some of my friends here, we want our files to be in printable formats. जब तक प्रिंटेड फाइल नहीं होगी हम लोगों को कंफर्ट नहीं आता है. न्यू जनरेशन इट इज़ फाइन, दे कैन गो ऑन एप्लीकेशन, बट यू नो खेमका जी हम लोगों को तो प्रिंटेड चाहिए फाइल. ठीक है, बेसिक डॉक्यूमेंट है वो तो प्रिंटेबल चाहिए ही चाहिए. तो वेदर दिस फाइल यू नो, सो वेदर द सॉफ्टवेयर विल गिव अस दैट फैसिलिटी. So once I was pitching for an audit, I was discussing with the CFO. They said कि यार हमारे यहाँ ऑडिटर तो आते ही नहीं है, वो फ़ोन करके बोलते हैं कि डेटा इस पे डाल दो क्लाउड पे, और वो वहीं बैठ के अपने ऑडिट प्रोसीजर कर लेते हैं. फिर वो मीटिंग करने आते हैं, डिस्कशन करके सारा काम करके फिर आते हैं और सिर्फ हमारे से क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं. So whether that audit software will have that facility that we can sit in our office, ask the client to put data on that cloud and we can do our procedures or not. So this is a question. And then the flexibility. We may be doing audit of a trading unit which is having let's say a very small company, or we are doing audit of a 55,000 crore complex technology company or a manufacturing company like BHEL and those kind of companies, whether the software will have that kind of flexibility, या वो बड़े हिसाब से बनी है और सारे के सारे काम करने हैं उसमें, तो फिर तो वो चलेगा नहीं. Compatibility. The software is able to pick up data not only from Tally but from ERP, SAP, Oracle also or not. So these are some of the expectations. So I have given a lot of points to our friend for giving answer during his presentation. If he doesn't give answer, maybe you can ask questions from him that Parveen ji ने ये बोला था तो आप इसका जवाब दीजिए. So it's a good setup for you. There are some challenges which I feel will be there when we implement audit software. First challenge I told you, the cost. That will be a big challenge. We need to shell out money. But अगर technology implement करनी है तो ये तो हमें करना पड़ेगा. But more important is the culture. So how are we doing audits? We need to understand there is a culture in India, and so that debate about SA 600 and ISA 600 is also about that. And connected with SA 600 is 299. So for example, you are doing joint audits. There's a culture, there is a system that if Harish ji and myself are joint auditors, he will do his work allotted to him, I will do my work allotted to me, and other work which are common we will do both. But I will not go and interfere into what work he has done. There's a culture of doing audit. But when we bring in ISA 600, probably this will also undergo a change because one person will need to take a responsibility of the whole financial statements audit. So this culture of how do we do the audit is also need to be seen. Major problem is resources. So, एक मिनट ये वाली स्लाइड खत्म करूँ फिर मैं क्वेश्चन आंसर खोलता हूँ. Resources is a problem. In our industry, the attrition rate is much more than what is normal, attrition rate. In some organizations, it's 25-30% attrition rate, but in small and medium, practitioners, it is very difficult to hold on to the resources. Your person who was trained by you, the moment that person qualifies, he will have an opportunity in GDS, in other, larger firms, and probably you feel that, you will not be able to justify the kind of work he will get or she will get. So it's difficult to get resources. Mindset is different. So we need to change our mindset, and we need to, I know many people in our offices, they are using ChatGPT. Right? Youngsters. And all of a sudden, I get surprised how fantastic language they have brought out while writing the audit work papers. But it took them 2 seconds to, put in, and that information comes out. But actually, many times they don't even read. So that becomes a problem. Because in the ChatGPT outcome, they will have a very generic kind of thing, but you're talking about manufacturing, and they will start talking about nuclear. So there's a little bit of complexity, but the mindset is that I need to do audit myself. So this mindset also need to, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for all of us. It's not only the previous generation, it's the young generation also, because they have also been trained by them. Reliability is another challenge. the new software, the startups are coming, we are debating how much reliable it will be. So if our friend gets a very good opportunity by one of the largest, and they will say, oh come on, aap software bech rahe ho, we'll give you 3 crore rupees per annum. Will he go, or he will stick to the audit software? So how much reliable is your software, the technology, and how much complex is your assignment, and how much complex is the software? That is also one of the challenge. And one challenge which is very critical is the training. If your people are not trained, it's like a sword. The best of the best sword is useless if you do not know how to use that. So software might be very fantastic. It will give you all the results. But if your people are not trained, then it is useless. So these are some of the challenges which will be there when we implement, the audit softwares. But please remember that when we do the audit, we give independent opinion on whether the financial statements are true and fair or not. The responsibility of preparation of those financial statements remains with the management only. And I think more we are reading these NAFRA orders, the more we are realizing a very dramatic change is going to happen. And this I was talking to my friends yesterday only in my office. There is an audit committee day after tomorrow, and we need to go and make a presentation. So I told them that in that presentation, let us ask questions from the audit committee, because this is what NAFRA expects. It's not that you are answerable to them. It's that you as independent agency need to ask question how the audit committee has got a comfort on internal audit procedure, internal audit reports. You have to answer to us whether you have got any idea, any fraud has come to your notice, or do you perceive any risk or not. So this is something which is a game changing, a transition period for all of us. We need to remain away from, though it is difficult, I understand, but we need to remain away from giving consultancy, because tomorrow the same client will go and tell the disciplinary committee कि तो हमें इन्होंने ही बताया था कि ऐसे कर लो. And maximum number of disciplinary committee, the complainants are the clients only. So we need to be, as far as possible remain away from consulting. I know it's very difficult when you deal with Indian promoter groups. They expect the auditors, आप बता दो यार क्या करना है, qualification को डालने, हम ठीक कर देंगे उसको. So this is something which is you have to strike a balance. So I have put a lot of questions. I have given you a lot of a lot of ideas. Maybe after this he will not even talk to me. So maybe now you can ask your questions. So.
My question is, you read the auditor's report, and this audit report is signed by multiple auditors. You don't know which auditor has checked what. Because if there is any mistake, you cannot pinpoint whose fault was this one.
So ये तो सर जो आपने क्वेश्चन उठाया है ऐसे 600 का क्वेश्चन है और 299 ऐसे का क्वेश्चन है विच इज़ इंटीग्रेटेड. जो डिबेट चल रहा है इंस्टीट्यूट में और नफरा में वो इसी बात के ऊपर है कि one person should take the complete responsibility. I agree with you. Nobody is aware when the joint auditors, like his firm and my firm, we were together doing audit of one of the largest insurance company, and we all have signed on the balance sheet. Nobody was aware what work I did, what work their firm did. But this is happening in all the larger companies where there are joint audits. The question of joint audits, question of component audits, this is being debated, and I think by the time next year ends, we will have some clarity. So हम लोगों को पता चल जाएगा कि क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. It's a very, very significant issue, and interestingly, the issue has come when the election year is there. So many points are being picked up from different perspectives. So you will get an answer to this question. As we stand today in India, SA 600 applicable. People who have done the consolidated, they rely on the work of the component auditors. People who are doing the joint audit, they rely on the work which has been done jointly with them, agreed with the management. There's a signed document which need to be there. But I think whatever work is allotted to you and whatever work is being done by you, your audit documentation should be strong enough to demonstrate that you have done your work appropriately. But वो पता नहीं चल रहा है कि उस बैलेंस शीट में किसने एसेट को चेक किया है और किसने रेवेन्यू को चेक किया है.
Problem is not that one. Problem is कि अभी recently I just checked the one X balance sheet and 5 auditors signed it. And 5 को भी देख के ही मैंने मान कर लिया कि balance sheet में problem है.
That is experience, sir.
मैंने email डाला कि ये balance sheet गलत है आपकी. वहाँ से head office से reply आया, yes, we agree with you कि there is a fault in the balance sheet. अब उसके बाद से उन्होंने पूरी की पूरी balance sheet मुझे भेजनी शुरू कर दी है.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you very much for contributing. और वो 5 auditors तो आपके हमेशा thankful रहेंगे. So with this I end my presentation. I am